Gene Hackman disappeared in silence. No standing ovation, no farewell from those who once praised him. But why? Why did Hollywood, the very industry that once placed him on a pedestal, allow him to vanish like a forgotten name? Robert Duvall knows. He has always known. And when he finally broke his silence, the truth left everyone stunned. Gene Hackman did not leave because of old age. He did not retreat into seclusion because he was weary of fame. He was forced out. Hollywood had no place for him anymore. The same people who once called him a legend quietly turned their backs. And when Robert Duvall finally said what no one else dared to, it was not just heartbreaking, it was brutal beyond words. What is the truth behind Gene Hackman's disappearance? Who pushed him out of the game, and why, until the very last moment, did he never look back? Chapter 1: The Silent Pact. Robert Duvall stared into the camera. His face was calm, almost unreadable, but in those aged eyes there was something impossible to define, a quiet sorrow, an unspoken regret, or perhaps something far more complicated. For decades he had remained silent, refusing to speak about Gene Hackman, a man who had once been considered an unshakable titan of Hollywood. But today, Robert Duvall finally broke that silence, and what he said left the entire film industry in stunned silence. Robert Duvall and Gene Hackman were never close friends. They did not share drinks, nor did they spend their days golfing together like many Hollywood colleagues. Yet there was always an unspoken respect between them. Both were quiet, unassuming figures in Hollywood's golden era, men who didn't need glamour or showmanship to prove their worth. They started as nameless actors in minor roles, emerging from the shadows with a commanding presence that required no words to instill fear and respect. Gene Hackman and Robert Duvall may not have been friends, but they understood each other in a way that few in the industry could. And yet, for years, Robert Duvall never publicly spoke about Gene Hackman. No praise, no anecdotes, not even a passing mention in interview. Whenever asked, he would simply smile, deflect, or remain silent. That silence lasted so long that it became a mystery in itself. Was there a hidden conflict between them, or was it simply that Duvall had no interest in discussing his colleagues in superficial sound bites? But when Gene Hackman was gone, Duvall finally spoke, and what he revealed left everyone in disbelief. The shocking news: a legend has vanished on March 7th. The film industry was rocked by the devastating news. Gene Hackman had passed away at the age of 95. He died at his home in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where he had spent the last 2 decades of his life, far removed from the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. The medical report confirmed that he died due to heart disease, exacerbated by high blood pressure and late-stage Alzheimer's. But what made his passing even more haunting was that his wife, Betsy Arakawa, had died just a week earlier from a rare illness, hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, a disease transmitted by rodents. When authorities entered their home, they discovered chilling details. Hackman's body was found in a small entryway near the kitchen, while his wife was in the bathroom with a spilled bottle of medication on the floor beside her. Their loyal dog Xena, one of 3 beloved pets, was also found lifeless in a closet, while the other 2 survived. Hackman's death wasn't just the loss of a Hollywood icon. It sparked a wave of unanswered questions. How had he spent his final days? Had he known that his wife had already passed before he collapsed himself? The world speculated, but Robert Duvall didn't. He didn't ask what happened. Instead, he thought about the past, about the era that Hackman represented, about the silence that had always defined the man. Robert Duvall breaks his silence. In an exclusive interview following the news of Hackman's passing, Robert Duvall spoke about the man he had kept silent about for so many years. His voice was steady, stripped of sentimentality or dramatic flourishes. He didn't cry. He didn't show pain, but every word he uttered carried an undeniable weight. He was the toughest man I've ever known, not just in the movies, in real life too. Hackman wasn't just a hardened character on screen. He was an iron-willed man, almost to a fault. A former Marine, that military discipline followed him for the rest of his life. But that same toughness made him a loner. You know, some people, they like to be liked. Gene didn't care. He never sought admiration, never needed validation. He skipped award ceremonies, turned down interviews, and lived life strictly on his own terms. Maybe that's why he and Duvall never grew close, because they were too much alike. 4. An irreplaceable legacy. Gene Hackman left behind an extraordinary filmography, playing some of cinema's most unforgettable roles. From Popeye Doyle in The French Connection to Little Bill Daggett in Unforgiven, he never shied away from playing characters who were harsh, cruel, or morally ambiguous. But Robert Duvall wasn't interested in listing Hackman's greatest films. What mattered was what Hackman brought to Hollywood, a spirit that no longer exists. Actors today, they don't have what Gene had. He wasn't just acting, he was the character. Today, Hollywood is filled with handsome faces, polished performances, and technically skilled actors. And but few bring the raw, undeniable authenticity that Hackman did. That's why his passing wasn't just the loss of a man. It was the end of an era. 5. The Final Silence. After Robert Duvall's interview was published, there was little reaction from Hollywood's old guard. Clint Eastwood, still making films well into his 90s, remained silent. Dustin Hoffman, Warren Beatty, Jack Nicholson, all of them said nothing. Perhaps they understood that there was nothing left to say. A legend was gone, a generation was fading, and no tribute, no obituary, no retrospective could change that. Robert Duvall looked up at the sky over New Mexico, the same sky that Hackman had lived under in his final years. Maybe he was thinking about the old days, about a time when men like Hackman still stood tall, unshaken, unapologetic. But then, as Hackman himself once said, nothing lasts forever. Chapter 2, The Man Who Vanished. Gene Hackman, one of Hollywood's greatest actors, unexpectedly stepped away from the spotlight and chose a secluded life in Santa Fe, New Mexico. His decision not only shocked fans, but also left many unanswered questions about the true reason behind his departure from the film industry. Throughout a career spanning over 4 decades, Gene Hackman made his mark with unforgettable performances in films such as The French Connection, Unforgiven, and The Royal Tenenbaums. He won 2 Academy Awards and was regarded as one of the most talented actors of his generation. However, in 2004, Hackman unexpectedly announced his retirement after starring in Welcome to Mooseport. In an interview with Larry King, he stated that he had no future film projects and believed his acting career had come to an end. After leaving Hollywood, Hackman and his wife Betsy Arakawa moved to Santa Fe, New Mexico. They chose a peaceful life, far from the noise of the entertainment industry. Hackman devoted his time to writing and painting. He published several novels and engaged in local artistic activities. Although he no longer appeared on screen, he maintained contact with a few former colleagues but rarely attended public events. Hackman's departure from the limelight was not just a simple retirement, it was a complete disappearance from public view. He did not attend any events, refused interviews, and never offered a formal farewell to his fans. This silence led to much speculation about the real reason he left Hollywood. Some believed he wanted to enjoy a quiet life after years of dedication to his craft, while others speculated about personal or health reasons. Robert Duvall and Gene Hackman were once close friends during the early years of their careers. They shared a small apartment in New York with Dustin Hoffman when all three were young, ambitious actors. Their friendship was built on mutual respect and a shared passion for the arts. However, as time passed, their paths diverged and they gradually drifted apart. Despite this, Duvall always held deep respect for Hackman, and the sentiment was mutual. When Hackman decided to leave Hollywood and retreat into solitude, Robert Duvall remained silent about his friend's decision. He made no public comments regarding Hackman's withdrawal or his current life. This silence sparked speculation among the media and fans. Some believed that Duvall knew the real reason behind Hackman's disappearance, but chose to respect his friend's privacy. Others theorized that a rift might have occurred between them, leading to their distance. Numerous theories have emerged about why Gene Hackman chose to leave Hollywood and live in seclusion. One of the most common assumptions is that he wished to escape the noise and pressure of the entertainment industry, opting instead for a peaceful life with his wife and beloved dogs. Some reports suggested that Hackman faced health challenges, including heart issues and late-stage Alzheimer's, which may have influenced his decision. However, given Hackman's deeply private nature, these claims have never been officially confirmed. In Santa Fe, Hackman lived with his wife, Betsy Arakawa, and their 3 dogs. They led a simple life away from public attention. Their neighbors rarely saw them, and they did not participate in local social activities. The presence of his dogs in their home reflected Hackman's love for animals and his desire for a quiet, uncomplicated life. On February 26, 2025, a maintenance worker arrived at Gene Hackman's private residence in Santa Fe, but no one answered the door. This raised concern, as Hackman had long been known as a reserved yet highly disciplined man. He never deviated from his daily routine. When the neighborhood security team was called in, they discovered a haunting scene.